What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Better Not Bitter podcast. Today, I have with me a very special guest. Without further ado, let's get into it.
All
So,
right.
introduce yourself.
All right. My name is CeeAHNO. Um I also go by Andrew. Andrew's my government name. But yeah, my producer name, when it comes to music, is CeeAHNO. And so I'm pretty much, I'm a music producer. I do hip hop, I do R&B, I do pop music. Um and yeah, I do like doing different genres because it just makes me more just diverse when it comes to just the way I think and everything. And so I've been so influenced by different genres of music. Um, yeah, especially with hip hop and R&B and gospel too. So yeah, it's it's exciting to just kind of just be part of this, just to be able to tell my story, just and be able more people to be able to just hear um and just understand me better.
That's awesome, fam. I got to meet you and connect with you through our Divinity Community slash Ruslan KD's Patreon group. So that's kind of how we met through being having that commonality of being involved in the Christian hip hop slash music creative content world. So it was really cool to be able to meet you. And when you kind of approached me about your learning disability, I had no clue. And I don't know if you know this or not, but a couple weeks ago, I had this idea to kind of start talking about the aspect of having an invisible disability and bringing people on who have on in disabilities, invisible
Uh,
disabilities.
yeah,
Yeah, because I think it's important. Sometimes we focus on the disabilities that are, you know, something that people can see, but there are a lot of disabilities that aren't as easily identifiable by looking at someone. So, without further ado, let's head into the first question, fam. So, what is auditory processing disorder?
yeah. So basically, auditory processing disorder has to do with like I guess the basic understanding of it would be just I have to take the time to fully process everything that I hear. Um, like there's certain things where I can process quickly, but then there's certain things that I have to really take my time to really process to understand it. Because I process things a little bit slower than the average person would process when it comes to when I whatever I'm hearing. So
Okay, that's very interesting. So, what was that like for you, like growing up?
yeah, I would say as a kid it was very difficult because I struggled a lot with my speech, and hearing is it's definitely a way to improve with your speech. And so since I was having problems processing what I was hearing, my speech wasn't as great when I was younger. I had to do a lot of like speech therapy throughout school from kindergarten um, up to I think it was about eighth grade.
Hmm.
I did speech therapy, and then I was in special education from kindergarten to 12th grade. So it was just I've always I've always been kind of a quiet, timid person just growing up. I didn't like speaking all the time. And what I've realized is the reason why I didn't always like speaking all the time is because I that's something that was a big struggle. Um, and I really felt like um, music has always been my best form of communication when it comes to just
Mm-hmm.
my emotions. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Uh, to kind of piggyback off of that, I kind of noticed that with people who have learning disabilities, physical disabilities, or even mental disabilities, there tends to be something, some type of creative outlet that they have to be able to kind of express themselves. And for you, that's music. So when did you start to notice that music was that outlet for you?
Yeah, it's just growing up with music. Like my parents, my family, they're all like musicians. Like my both of my parents sing. My dad plays guitar. My mom
Okay.
used to, yeah, my mom used to play the trumpet. Yeah, my dad actually taught me my first two chords on guitar, and then he had me take some lessons with a musician at my church.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's my musical journey. It started very young, just by being curious, and just playing around with things. And um, I remember just my parents were always encouraging me when it came to music because that was always been something they've both been passionate about. And even my brothers, they're passionate about music too. Even though, as of right now, I'm the only one that's pursuing it as a career, but
Hmm.
they still love it also. So
That is awesome. I noticed that you talked about how your parents and your family played a role in you being involved in music. How did they play a role in you kind of dealing with your learning disability?
uh yeah, I would say my mom was like the most patient one with me. She's always has. Like I felt like she understood me the most. She's always has. And just the amount of patience she's always had for me, and just me and my brothers, um, and it's just yeah, she would always be the one helping me out with my homework. Um, and whenever I feel like I was just struggling with something, she was one of the first people that I would talk to about just anything that I was going through. Um, and for some reason, like she always knows like the right things to say most of the time. And yeah, it's just she's just been a big part of my life. You know,
That's
so yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. I know for me, something that's been helpful is the involvement of my family and their encouragement throughout my process. Um, Something I'm interested to find out is how, or if you have any ways of maneuvering around your disability. So, for example, with my vision impairment slash low vision, there are like little tricks I have to kind of getting around that. So I use adaptive equipment, or you know, I enlarge the font on my phone. Do you have any resources like that that you use to kind of get around that?
Yeah, I notice my main thing is I have to be, I think, better when my body is physically moving
Mm-hmm.
for some reason. That's why growing up I always like dancing. I like exercising a lot. Like I'm constantly exercising like five days a week, Monday through Friday. So
A
um just like, yeah, just physical activity has been a big benefit to just, with my disability, because it helps me to, for some reason, when I'm either if I'm standing or just moving my body, um I feel like I have more control over what my thoughts are. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, so, as you know, the title of this podcast is Better, Not Bitter, and that is inspired by the notion that our faith in Christ allows us and empowers us to become better in spite of the things that we go through. How would you say that your faith in Christ has allowed you to become better uh, instead of bitter in light of your disability?
yeah, I definitely feel like my faith in Christ has definitely made me stronger. Because even there were times in my life where I almost gave up on God, because I felt like I just wasn't good enough. Like I felt like I was always slow. Like I always felt like there was just always something wrong with me. Just because I don't think like everybody else. I've always felt just different than everybody else. But I've realized that that's been a blessing because um I've been able to realize that I don't have to be like everybody else. I can just be who God made me to be. So
Mm.
I just find that important.
Could you maybe elaborate on a time when you felt that way and how God maybe helped you get through that, if you don't mind?
Ye- Yeah, I would say because my first elementary school I went to, I wasn't really connected with everybody. Because I went to two different elementary schools. One of them, it was a majority of like a white school, like Caucasian. So um really like I had majority of my friends were like either black or Hispanic, the few that were there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy is that I wasn't really as good when it came to sports back then. Because I played soccer and I played basketball growing up, but I was okay with sports back then. But I feel like the minorities that I grew up with, like in that town, the ones that were getting more attention were the ones that were like more athletic or more musical. Or so I always felt like I was just left out most of the time because I felt like I didn't have like I didn't fully develop just my gifts at that time. And so it's just I always felt left out. And when it came to like recess often and just just like I've always like growing up, I was just lonely. And I was trying so hard to just fit in with everybody. Um, but I realized like just trying to fit in, it didn't satisfy me. I had
Mm-hmm.
to really understand that I'm different.
Yes, that is the message in and of itself, and I definitely can relate to that on so many levels. Um, Especially in elementary school. It's definitely true. Kids can be definitely mean.
Yeah.
um, but I think that as we become more like Christ as Christians, and we teach our kids how to love people who look differently, and who may maneuver through life differently, um, it's gonna definitely alleviate a lot of that. Uh, so back to music. So how long have you been doing music as a career?
As a career, I would say officially, like as a career, I would say like 2018. That was my first. I got my first, I guess, song project that I got paid for in
Oh wow.
2018. Yeah. The only thing is I didn't get credit for it
Oh
officially.
no.
So it was just that's like a whole other situation. I and it had to do with just a friend that got me connected to us with an artist, with one of her artists that she was working with. And so it was one of those situations where I kind of had to get over it. And it's like, it
Yeah.
happened. So
Well, I'm sorry to hear that you didn't get credit. That well, like with anything in life, you know how you have to step out on faith.
mhm.
Will add a learning disability or a disability to that. How did you have to adjust in light of that disability?
um I guess one of the main things is I had to learn that I can't try to do everything at once. I can't multitask. Um, I had to learn that the hard way. So yeah, I just had to really take things one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Just learning how to just like now I'm learning how to just really schedule things. So because I know what times of the day my brain works the best. And one thing I noticed is like, yeah, late at night after 10 o'clock, my brain is dead. So yeah. So it's just,
Yeah.
that's why I never work on stuff after 10, because it's just, yeah, I can't fully process things after that time. So I try to do things before then. Yeah.
I hear you on that. I am the same way. I'm the same way. I think that's very interesting. And it's a testament to the goodness of God, how even when we step out on faith, He shows us how to adjust. Even if it takes us a little bit to get the hang of it, He shows us how
Right.
to adjust. And for you, that's changing up your schedule and learning what time works for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, my last question would be, if you could talk to the younger you, what would you say to yourself?
Yeah, I would say just be patient. Like not everything's gonna come right away. And just learn how to really take time to just understand how you think. Um, yeah, it's just um, yeah, that's pretty much it. um, yeah, and just yeah, it's just I think the patience is just the big thing. Um, and that's something I'm still learning. I'm still getting better with my patience. Yeah, because that's really how I'm getting through everything that I'm going through right now. So
That is
yeah,
understandable.
yeah.
Well, fam, I just want to say I appreciate you sharing your testimony and your experience with auditory processing disorder. I definitely learned something new today, and I got to hear a bit more about who you are and how God has brought you from point A to point B. And so I appreciate you taking out of your busy schedule to do
Hmm.
this interview. So thank you. Do you have any last minute comments for the audience?
Uh, yeah, just be more patient with your life. Um, yeah, not everything's gonna come right away. Uh, yeah, it's like I have to remind myself every day how much patience is important. Um, so yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Sir, you are preaching. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
with that being said, guys, you heard it from the man himself, CeeAHNO / Andrew. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast interview. We're going to be having more guests. Please like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and please share. And without any further ado, y'all be blessed.